What's going on here? All right, good afternoon, everyone. Sorry about that. All right, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this live broadcast. It is that time of the day when we come here to talk about topical issues on parenting. I have not been able to fix. Okay, it's better today. Yay! I hope it stays like that. All right, YouTube is better today. I get this. It's back to that. All right, I think there's something wrong with my system. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this live broadcast. My name is Maribeth Chima. I am the convener of the Parenting Through Mentorship community on Facebook and Academy. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's a beautiful Thursday afternoon, and I am streaming from the capital city of Nigeria. I am streaming from Abuja. All right, so if you join me, please let me know where you're joining me from. Just let us know your name and where you're joining from. And if you are catching the replay, please just put hashtag replay and let us know if you got value at the end of the session. Welcome. So today we are talking about how we can help our children recognize, love, appreciate, and read for leisure. That's what we're talking about. It's an SOS. It's an SOS. It's like, well, help me. I've had parents who have actually, called me or sent me messages and have asked, and continuously asking, how can I get my child to read? My child will not just read. My child will not just read. If you're on Facebook and you're with us, please say something in the comments. Don't stay in the background. If you are on YouTube, also say something in the comments. I don't like how my YouTube videos have been looking in the last. I need someone to look at this. The last person that looked at it said it was okay. I don't know why I still get this really. I think I need to do a bit of adjustment with my lights also. It looks a bit funny. All right, if you can hear me, please, I need to know that you can hear me and you can see me clearly before I continue. Okay, if you're with me, you can hear me, you can see me, just let me know that you can, so that we can get right into it. All right, if you're there, just let us know. Say hello in the comments, okay? All right, sometimes it happens that I have people with me on Facebook and I don't see them during the live stream. I finish the live stream and I begin to see people. Okay, hi, Anua, how are you? Loud and clear. Thank you. I copy that. All right, so I'll just get right to it. How are you doing? How's the boy? All right, then. So let's just get right into it, right? So I want to start this way, right? I'm not starting on a very easy or a very friendly note. I'm starting this way. If your child is not reading, okay, if your child does not like to read and your child isn't reading, I want to say this to you today, that the child isn't doing so because of you. Okay, your child is not reading, or your child does not like to read because of you. Yes, but this is no blame game. There's no blame game here, right? So we're just going to move on. Today we're looking for solutions. We're not looking for who to blame on why our children are reading or why our children are not reading. So I want to also add at this point that if your child is going to read and begin to appreciate books, okay, and read for leisure, then it's still going to be you that would have to be at the forefront. So yes, your child is not reading yet, it's because of you. And if your child is going to start reading, it's also going to be because of you. Yes, it is in your power to turn things around, especially if your child is not 15ish. Okay, so if you still have kids that are below 15, your 12-year-old, your 10-year-old, your 11-year-old, if you still have kids that young, then we can still turn this around. Even for your 15-year-old, there is so much you can actually do to there's a lot you can do to motivate them and all that. But hey, we can't say that you can effect that comeback. But for your younger kids, there's really a lot that you can do to get them in that space right now. Okay, I've shared this many times. Okay, if you have a copy of my book, Mentor Parents is my latest book. In that book, I have told stories of our journey and how my son, most of it is about my son, a bit of my daughter also. But in that book, I've told stories about how we struggled with different skills. Okay, we struggled with public speaking. My son is doing well in public speaking right now, but we struggled with it. Okay, it was a skill that we struggled. Is a skill that we struggled with. He's reading. He's a voracious reader right now. A voracious reader right now. But we struggled with reading also. Okay, my son is doing well with his social skills, but we struggled with social skills too. So what am I saying? What I'm saying is this: if you have decided as a parent that you want to be intentional, which is something that we all should actually decide to be. I mean, it's not like there's a cult that is intentional parents. No, it's simple. It's just simple. You should be intentional about life. You should be intentional about everything you do. So if you're intentional about every other aspect of your life, why not? Why shouldn't you be intentional about your parenting, right? So if you are intentional about parenting, what it simply means is you're not leaving anything to chance. Your eyes are open, your ears are down, you are paying attention, you are present, and because you're present, you're able to identify where the gaps are, where the challenges are, and you do not just identify them and continue to talk about them, to throw pity passes about them. You go right into action. You create goals and then you create plans to help the child surmount those challenges or to fill in those gaps. And that's what being an intentional parent is about, being aware. And being an intentional parent doesn't mean that your child will not struggle or will not have areas where they will struggle. It simply means that if they do, you are there 100% ready to support them. All right, so I am going to assume at this point that everyone here has children, or everyone here has a kid or two who are struggling with reading. So yes, this session is about how we can position ourselves to support them, because this has become a challenge, isn't it? It has become a gap in their learning. It has become a gap in their life that we want to close, especially now that they are young. It's always easier to do a lot with our children. It's always easier to change mindset, to change a lot of things with children when they are younger. So we don't want to keep it long. The longer we keep it, the more difficult it is really to change anything or to create new mindsets, okay, around a lot of things. So I have said, if our children are going to change, if they're going to cultivate a habit or a better habit around reading, then we have to be at the forefront. It has to come from us, okay? And it's that's now, okay? So the best time really to help your child cultivate the habit of reading is when they are, I mean, from the womb. Let me say that, okay? I dare say that, okay? It's from the womb, really. From the day your child, I mean, I laugh about it and I say to people, your child should have his first bedtime story read to him or her in the first few days of birth. Like, you finish in the hospital, you are fine, you are stable, baby is stable, they hand you the baby, and that night you're about to sleep, the baby is about to sleep, or the baby is there with you, you actually take a story and then you read the baby's first bedtime story to the child on the first day of their birth. So, yes, the first time you read to your child should be as soon as you and the baby are stable, okay, after delivery. That's the best time. The next best time is today. Okay, the next best time to cultivate the habit of reading for leisure is today. Now, I'm not going to bore you, I'm not going to go through all the importance of reading, because I am very sure that we have all heard why reading is important, right? Or basic, I'm not going to go through, the basic reasons why, the reasons that we all know why reason. I mean, things like readers are leaders, right? There isn't a single leader out there in the world. There isn't a single remarkable leader out there in the world that we do not attribute reading to. From the Mandelas to the Obamas to the Clintons, I mean, there is none of them. From Mark Zuckerberg to what's the Elon Musk, all of these people, I mean, if you follow them, if you follow their life, and if you know anything about them, you would know that there is the place of reading. Warren Buffett actually says he reads. I mean, I can't even remember specifically, but hey, Warren Buffett is someone that we know that reads like he reads like crazy. So the most successful people in the world actually attribute their success to reading, isn't it? Elon Musk actually, when they asked him how, I mean, he came up with the idea and all of that to build space and ships and all of that. What did he say? He said by reading. All right, so I'm not even going to go through all of that. I mean, reading will help your child develop vocabulary and all of these things. I'm not going to go through all of that because, hey, it's not as if we don't know these things or we don't know the importance of reading. I'm just going to list a few other ones that are not the regular ones that we hear every day, isn't it? All right, so one of the reasons why your child needs to read is reading will broaden their perspective of things, right? Reading will broaden your child's perspective of things and allow your child to view the world from a place of knowledge and not mediocrity. So if you want a child who is not a mediocre, if you are bringing and training up a child who is not going to be a mediocre, a child who is going to know, hi, Jacqueline, it's good to have you. All right. So if you are training a child, if you want to train a child who is no mediocre, who, I mean, when he opens his mouth, he knows what he's talking about. A child who will not continue to say every time, my cousin said, my classmate said, the house help said, this one said. If you are going to train a child who knows what he's talking about and is bold and sure of what he is talking about at all times, then you need to get that child reading already. If you want to train up a child that people cannot play with his mindset, people cannot sell all kinds of ideology to him or her. If you're going to train up a child who is not going to follow people around and just bow to what everybody that sounds intelligent says, then you need to start getting them to read books right now. Because a lot of times is when our children don't read or when we have people who do not read, right? Every time someone, I mean, comes around them and sounds intelligent, you see them follow. And that's what happens to us around this world. Hi, Mary Steven, it's good to have you. That's what happens to a lot of us in this part of the world. Every time someone comes and the person sounds intelligent, every time someone comes and sounds intelligent, we all fall and we begin to follow because, hey, this person has to be intelligent for the person to sound this way. But news flash, people who sound that way, this way that we all conclude is intelligence, yes, it's actually intelligence, it's because they are well read. A lot of the times they are well read. And because a lot of us do not read, a lot of us do not have sound knowledge. Every time one or two few people who do come around us, we bow and we surrender and we follow everything that they say. I mean, we take everything that they say hook, line, and sinker. So if you want your child not to be a mediocre, you want a child where he's coming from, where he's going to, what the world is about, you want a child who is solid in their conviction, then you better get them to start reading already. Okay? Now, the second reason your child needs to read is if your child is going to build social intelligence, if your child is going to develop cultural intelligence, then the child needs to start reading. Okay? It is a child who is equipped that walks into a gathering and does not shake. I mean, a lot of times we see people, even adults, come into gatherings, sit on round tables, and because you are lost. I mean, in what do you call it? You are when intelligent subjects come up. You are lost. You don't know what the people are talking about. Because of that, the person begins to feel inadequate. So, if you are going to train a child who feels adequate, if you're going to train up a child who is solid in their in social gatherings, then you need to get them to start reading. So yes, if you have to build social intelligence in your child, then you better get them to start reading. If you are going to build cultural intelligence in your child, then you better get them to start reading. You don't want children that when they meet people that do not share their views, when they meet people that do not share or do not believe in the same thing that they believe, they automatically become biased towards these people because they know nothing about where these people are coming from. They know nothing about where these people are about. Hello, Chidima, it's good to have you. They don't know nothing about these other people's culture, where they're coming from, what their beliefs are. They know nothing about them. So because of that, of course, they are either defensive or they retract, right? So if you are going to be a train up a confident child, right? A child who can stand his own in cultural intelligence and social intelligence, develop social intelligence, cultural intelligence, and stand their own no matter where they find themselves, then you better get them to start reading right now. Okay, now the third one is if you are going to train up a child who has in-depth knowledge of the things around the world, okay, then you better get them to start reading. Because what happens is when your child reads, every time your child comes across a new thing, I need to move this fan to face me. Okay, so when your child loves to read, every time your child comes across new things, meets new people, meets new ideas, what happens to the child is the child goes on to look for resources and more materials about this new things, and they learn more. That's what happens to a child who loves to read. Okay, so he's not afraid to learn new things, right? He's not afraid to learn new things, and every time he learns new things, he's able to extend that prior knowledge, or is able to extend that new knowledge that he has, and then get in-depth knowledge in that area, simply because he can read, simply because he can sit down and take materials, and he knows where to find them, he knows how to find them, he knows how to separate what is authentic from what is just clothes. So basically, if you get your children to read, then you are going to train up a child that has in-depth knowledge of the things around him, his environment. Sorry, I'm saying him. When I say him, I mean your daughter, your son, every one of them, basically. All right. The next one is number 5. I'm giving you 5. If you are going to train up a child who's going to be a lifelong learner, if you're going to train up a lifelong learner, then please, you need them to start reading right now. You need them to start reading right now, because you know what happens when your child learns to read from a very early age. Okay, the foundation of reading is already cultivated. So by the time the child gets older, and then things like studying and all of that comes up, it's easy to dwell on the foundation of reading to build up study and research skills. So yes, if you want your child to do well in school, that's the one that we like now. We like school matter. We like our children having A pluses, isn't it? So if you are preparing your child for the A pluses, then you might as well get them to start reading books right from now. So I've just given you 5 reasons why you need to get your children to start reading. There are many other reasons. I'm sure you all know. There are many more reasons why our children need to read, isn't it? All right, so let's just keep this 5. All right, so now let's go. How to cultivate this habit, right? I said in my post that I was going to share with you what I did with my son, right? I didn't have to do a lot with my daughter because the foundation for reading, or the atmosphere for reading, was already established by the time she was born. Now, I have told the story that my son didn't come around to reading, like picking a fiction book to read on his own, till he was about 7. Okay, now this doesn't mean that he didn't read other materials, or that reading was not all around him. Right, please just give me a second. I need to adjust something. I'm sweating. 1 second, please. All right. Sorry about that. Okay, so I said I was going to share with you what we did, or what we did with the children, what I did with my son to get him, to move him from just reading certain kind of books to reading all kinds of genre of books. Okay, now there is something, when we say read, before your children are young adults, they may not read all the motivational books, right? They may not read, right from when they're young, they may not read certain genre of books. But that they want to read storybooks or fiction is good, is enough. I mean, it's good enough. Okay, that's what I'm saying. It's good enough. So you want to push in books, storybooks. You want to push in fiction. Let your children read a lot of fiction to broaden their minds, to broaden their horizon, for them to begin to imagine things and begin to think things, okay? For them to become analytical and begin to ask questions about life, about character, about things. So these are some of the reasons why. All right, so let's go right into the how. What can we do? Yeah, what can you do to get your children to start reading, or what did we do? All right, I've told the story many times that my first book, my son's first book, my son is going to be 12 in a month. Okay, now the first book I bought for my child, I bought when I was pregnant, right? I'm sure you've been following me, you've heard that before. I bought his first book when I was pregnant, and I started reading that book to him when as soon as I was stable, as soon as I was done with all the, early pregnancy issues and all of that, as soon as I started enjoying, the pregnancy, I started reading. And I started talking to him a lot. So this is for you toddler parents. Okay. I say a lot of times that when I meet toddler parents, or I meet young couples, I am very excited, because for me, you have you have everything in front of you. You have so much that you can do, right? So I'm excited when I meet young couple, or young people who are not even married yet, or young couples, and the people we taught, parents with toddlers. Hi, Omalala, it's good to have you. Hi, Mercy, good to have you here. So I'm usually very excited when I meet this group of parents, because there's so much you can do right now, right? So I started reading right from at that point, when I would come back and I would tell a lot of stories to him, like he's listening to me. Yeah, doctors, you're here, so I'm sure they listen at some point, right? Yes. So I just start reading from that point, right? So that's where it begins for us. So the moment baby came, the moment baby was born, it was already established. Reading was already a thing. All right. So I don't know whether it's the first week, whether it's the second week, I don't know. But I just know that right from when we got home, as soon as we were out of all the in and out of hospital and all of that, we started reading bedtime stories. So I would get all them small stories, okay? Or I would just read the little Bible book, those small Bible books. I would just read them, read the story to the baby, and then the baby drifts off and sleeps off, and close the book and we move on. Right. So now, for you, you did not start doing that, but you have young children. You want to start reading to your children. You want to start reading bedtime stories, and you want to make these stories consistent. Okay, you want to make it a habit. You want to make it consistent in your home. Let the child grow up knowing that you would read a bedtime story to them. Let your children grow up knowing that when you're sitting down in the train and you are on your way home, okay, someone is driving, you will read a book. Okay, let your children see reading as normal. All right, let them see reading as normal. So I said at the beginning, right? I said at the beginning that if your child is not reading, it's because of you. And this is why. Okay, this is why. Because if from when your child is little, you normalize reading, if you're able to normalize reading books right from when the children are young, if you're able to cultivate the culture of buying books right from when the children are young, if you're able to create a routine, also a routine where you read stories to your children, and this routine we're talking about doesn't have to be anything more than 5 minutes, 10 minutes. For a toddler, what are you reading? You can read Cinderella's story in in 3 minutes now, from the beginning to the end of the Cinderella story. You can read it to your child in 3 minutes. Okay, all you're just doing in addition is you are making faces, right? You're making faces, and you're changing your voice tone for the different characters and all of that. Learn to do that. If my daughter has to read to you today, my daughter reads the way I read to her. So even when she reads in her class, that's the